The sky above Rio de Janeiro looked completely normal that afternoon. Tourists were moving through the city, cars filled the streets below, and somewhere high above them, two helicopters were traveling through the same airspace. Then, in a matter of seconds, everything changed. Witnesses watched in horror as the aircraft collided in midair. The impact sent debris falling from the sky. Flames erupted. People on the ground pulled out their phones, recording a scene that seemed impossible to believe. Within minutes, emergency crews rushed to the crash site. But for those on board, there was little hope. Among the reported victims was a name that instantly sent shockwaves across the internet: Oliver Tree. Millions of fans around the world stared at their screens in disbelief. Social media exploded with questions. Was it real? Was it another internet hoax? Could the eccentric musician known for outrageous stunts, bizarre comedy, and viral pranks really be gone? As news organizations began reporting the details, the reality became increasingly difficult to ignore. One of the internet generation's most recognizable entertainers had reportedly died in a tragic helicopter collision at just 32 years old. But to understand why this story affected so many people, we first need to understand who Oliver Tree really was. For many people, Oliver Tree wasn't just a musician. He was an internet phenomenon. Long before millions streamed his songs, they knew him as the strange guy with the bowl haircut, oversized glasses, colorful jackets, and unpredictable personality. At first glance, many people assumed he was a comedian. Others thought he was simply another internet prankster looking for attention. But beneath the absurd character was a surprisingly talented artist who understood something most entertainers didn't. He understood the internet. Born in California, Oliver Tree grew up with a passion for music, visual art, and performance. Unlike traditional musicians who followed a predictable path toward fame, Tree built his audience through a combination of music, humor, and carefully crafted chaos. He blurred the line between reality and performance so effectively that audiences could never fully tell when he was serious and when he was joking. That uncertainty became his superpower. Every interview felt unpredictable. Every social media post seemed designed to confuse, entertain, or shock viewers. While many artists carefully protected their image, Oliver Tree appeared to do the opposite. He embraced awkwardness. He exaggerated his personality. He turned himself into a living meme, and somehow it worked. As social media platforms exploded in popularity, Oliver Tree's unusual style helped him stand out in an increasingly crowded digital world. His videos spread rapidly across YouTube, Instagram, and later TikTok. Millions of people shared clips without even realizing they were helping build the career of a future music star. Then came the music. Songs like Alien Boy introduced listeners to his unique blend of alternative rock, electronic music, and emotional storytelling. Unlike many viral artists who disappear after a single hit, Tree continued building a loyal audience. His music carried themes of loneliness, self-doubt, frustration, and resilience. Topics that resonated deeply with younger audiences navigating an increasingly digital world. But his biggest breakthrough was still ahead. When songs like Life Goes On and Miss You exploded online, Oliver Tree transformed from a niche internet celebrity into a global phenomenon. His music accumulated billions of streams. His videos generated hundreds of millions of views. Fans from around the world connected with both the humor and the emotional honesty hidden beneath his outrageous public persona. Ironically, one of the songs most closely associated with him was called Life Goes On. The track became a social media sensation. Millions of users incorporated it into videos, edits, and trends. The song's title itself carried a message of perseverance, a reminder that even during difficult times, life continues moving forward. Years later, following reports of his death, countless fans would return to that song. The title suddenly carried a very different meaning. By 2026, Oliver Tree had become far more than a musician. He was a cultural figure representing an entire era of internet entertainment. Unlike traditional celebrities who rose through television or radio, Tree belonged to a new generation. He built his career online, where fans felt a direct connection to the people they followed. This connection made the news of his reported death especially devastating. For many fans, Oliver Tree wasn't a distant celebrity. He was someone whose videos they watched during difficult moments, someone whose music soundtracked important parts of their lives, someone who felt strangely familiar despite never meeting them. And at the time of the tragedy, his career appeared stronger than ever. He was actively touring, new performances were scheduled, future projects were reportedly in development. There were no signs that his journey was nearing an end. If anything, it seemed like Oliver Tree was entering another major chapter of his career. Then came the trip to Brazil. What began as another stop during a successful tour would soon become the center of a tragedy that captured international attention. In the hours leading up to the flight, there was little indication that anything unusual was about to happen. Fans continued interacting with his content. Concert footage circulated online. Everything appeared normal. But somewhere above Rio de Janeiro, events were already moving toward a catastrophic conclusion. And when investigators finally began piecing together what happened in the sky that day, the details would reveal a disaster more shocking than anyone could have imagined. As investigators began gathering evidence, witnesses across Rio de Janeiro started sharing their accounts of what they had seen. Some described hearing an unusually loud noise overhead. Others reported looking up after hearing what sounded like an explosion. Within moments, videos recorded from streets, buildings, and vehicles began appearing online. The footage spread rapidly across social media, drawing millions of views as people around the world tried to understand what had happened. According to early reports, 2 helicopters were flying over the city when they collided in midair. Aviation accidents involving helicopters are already uncommon, but a collision between 2 aircraft in the sky is even rarer. Experts would later explain that for 2 moving helicopters to occupy the exact same space at the exact same moment requires a catastrophic breakdown somewhere within a chain of procedures designed specifically to prevent such events. The impact was devastating. Witnesses described seeing one of the helicopters lose stability almost immediately. Pieces of debris reportedly separated from the aircraft as it descended. Smoke became visible in the sky. People on the ground watched helplessly as the situation unfolded in real time. What began as a normal afternoon suddenly transformed into a scene of panic and confusion. Then came another detail that would shock audiences around the world. Some witness reports claimed that a person appeared to jump from one of the helicopters before it struck the ground. The claim quickly spread across social media platforms and news discussions. However, investigators cautioned against jumping to conclusions. In major aviation disasters, eyewitness observations can sometimes be distorted by distance, speed, smoke, debris, or the chaos of the moment. Nevertheless, the reports added another layer of mystery to an already horrifying tragedy. As emergency crews rushed toward the crash sites, a new danger emerged. One of the helicopters reportedly came down near a vehicle storage area containing numerous electric vehicles. Moments later, multiple fires broke out. Thick black smoke filled the air as flames spread between vehicles. Firefighters faced an extremely difficult challenge because lithium battery fires can burn differently than traditional fuel fires, often requiring specialized techniques and large amounts of water to control. The crash scene quickly became one of the most dramatic aviation disasters the city had seen in years. Roads were closed. Emergency personnel established safety perimeters. Journalists arrived at the scene. News helicopters circled overhead. As authorities worked to secure the area, one question dominated every conversation: who was on board? Passenger lists soon became the focus of intense public interest. As names began circulating, reports emerged that Oliver Tree had been among the passengers involved in the collision. Almost immediately, social media platforms erupted. Fans refused to believe it. Many assumed the news had to be fake. Others remembered that Oliver Tree had spent years building a public image around elaborate jokes, fake retirements, staged controversies, and absurd publicity stunts. Because of his history, some people genuinely believed the reports might somehow be part of another performance. The disbelief was understandable. Throughout his career, Tree had repeatedly blurred the boundary between reality and entertainment. He had announced retirements that weren't permanent. He had created fictional storylines. He had intentionally confused audiences as part of his artistic identity. In a strange way, he had trained fans not to immediately trust everything they heard about him. But as more media outlets confirmed the developing story, hope gradually began to fade. Across the internet, reactions poured in from every corner of the world. Fans shared favorite songs. Others posted concert memories. Many uploaded screenshots of messages, videos, and photographs connected to important moments in their lives. The comments section beneath his music videos transformed almost overnight into a digital memorial. Some people admitted they had discovered him through memes. Others remembered finding his music during difficult periods of depression, loneliness, or uncertainty. Many simply couldn't believe that someone who had seemed so energetic and full of life could disappear so suddenly. One of the most emotional aspects of the story involved the timing. Just days earlier, Oliver Tree had reportedly been performing for thousands of fans. Videos showed crowded venues, cheering audiences, and an artist fully engaged with his career. Nothing suggested tragedy was around the corner. There were no farewell messages, no public signs of concern, no indication that this could be his final week. That contrast made the story even more heartbreaking. One moment, he was standing under stage lights with thousands of fans singing along. The next, the world was reading headlines about a fatal helicopter collision. As investigators continued examining the wreckage, experts began asking difficult questions. What caused the collision? Were weather conditions a factor? Was there a communication breakdown? Did either pilot receive a warning? Could the disaster have been prevented? Answers would not come quickly. Modern aviation investigations often take months. Every piece of debris must be examined. Flight records must be analyzed. Witness statements must be reviewed. Investigators work carefully because a single overlooked detail can change the entire understanding of an accident. While officials searched for answers, something remarkable was happening online. Streams of Oliver Tree's music began rising dramatically. Songs that fans had not listened to in years suddenly reappeared on playlists. Music videos accumulated millions of additional views. New listeners discovered his work for the first time through news coverage. Across streaming platforms, audiences revisited the songs that had helped define an era of internet culture. And among all those tracks, one stood out above the rest. Life Goes On. The title appeared repeatedly across social media posts, tribute videos, and fan comments. People quoted lyrics. Others reflected on how differently the song felt after hearing the news. Whether intentional or not, the title became an emotional symbol of the moment. For many fans, it felt almost impossible to separate the artist from the message. Yet perhaps the most tragic aspect of the story was its randomness. There was no long illness, no final farewell tour, no years of preparation. Just an ordinary day that transformed into a global tragedy within seconds. And as millions mourned the reported loss of one of the internet generation's most unusual stars, a larger question began to emerge. How would Oliver Tree be remembered? As a musician, a comedian, a viral sensation, or something entirely different? The answer may lie in the extraordinary legacy he left behind, a legacy that stretched far beyond music and into the very culture of the internet itself. In the days following the tragedy, something remarkable began happening across the internet. People who had not listened to Oliver Tree's music in years suddenly returned to it. Old interviews resurfaced. Viral clips that once made people laugh were shared again, this time with a very different emotion attached to them. Across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and streaming platforms, millions of fans were revisiting the moments that had made Oliver Tree such a unique figure in modern entertainment. For many artists, fame comes from fitting into a category. They are musicians, actors, comedians, or influencers. Oliver Tree never seemed comfortable staying inside any single box. That was one of the reasons he stood out. He could release an emotional song one day, perform a bizarre comedy sketch the next, and then appear in an interview that left viewers wondering whether anything he said was serious at all. That unpredictability became his trademark. While other artists carefully protected their public image, Oliver Tree often seemed determined to make his image stranger. The bowl haircut, oversized glasses, colorful clothing, exaggerated stories, and absurd humor weren't accidents. They were pieces of a character that became instantly recognizable across the internet. Even people who couldn't name one of his songs often recognized his face. But beneath the comedy and chaos was something deeper. Many fans connected with his music because it reflected emotions they rarely saw expressed elsewhere. His songs often explored insecurity, loneliness, frustration, heartbreak, and personal struggle. Hidden beneath the jokes was a level of honesty that resonated with millions of listeners. Perhaps that combination explains why so many people felt connected to him. He made them laugh, but he also made them feel understood. As tributes continued pouring in, social media became flooded with stories from fans around the world. Some described discovering his music during difficult periods in their lives. Others shared memories of attending concerts, meeting him briefly after shows, or introducing his songs to friends and family. What emerged was a portrait of an artist whose influence extended far beyond charts, awards, or streaming numbers. His impact was personal. That personal connection reflects a larger change in modern celebrity culture. In previous generations, fans experienced celebrities mainly through television, radio, magazines, or movies. Today's audiences interact with artists constantly through social media. They watch daily updates, behind-the-scenes videos, live streams, interviews, and personal posts. The result is a relationship that often feels far more direct. Oliver Tree understood this reality better than most. He wasn't simply creating music. He was creating moments. He understood how internet culture worked. He knew how to surprise people, confuse them, entertain them, and keep them talking. Every strange interview, every unexpected stunt, and every bizarre social media post became part of a larger story that audiences wanted to follow. In many ways, he represented a new type of entertainer. Not a traditional celebrity, an internet-era celebrity, someone whose career could not have existed in the same form 20 years earlier. His success demonstrated that audiences no longer needed record labels, television networks, or movie studios to discover new personalities. Creativity, originality, and an understanding of online culture could be enough to build a global audience. That achievement may ultimately become one of his most important legacies. Yet even as discussions about his career continued, investigators remained focused on understanding what had happened in the skies above Rio de Janeiro. Aviation experts would continue examining evidence, reconstructing events, and searching for answers. Families, friends, and fans wanted to know how such a devastating accident could occur. Those questions may take months or even years to fully answer. But regardless of what investigators eventually discover, one fact will remain unchanged. A life that inspired millions ended far too soon. Perhaps that is why the story affected so many people. Not because Oliver Tree was perfect, not because everyone loved his music, and not because he was one of the biggest celebrities in the world. The story mattered because it reminded people of something universal: how quickly everything can change. One day someone is planning future projects, performing for packed crowds, and sharing moments with fans. The next, the world is remembering them. There is a strange irony in the fact that one of Oliver Tree's most famous songs was called "Life Goes On." After news of the tragedy spread, countless fans returned to those words. Some saw them as heartbreaking. Others found them comforting. Either way, the title seemed to capture a truth that many people struggled to accept. Life does go on, but the people who leave a lasting impact continue traveling with us through memories, stories, and the work they leave behind. Long after headlines disappear and investigations conclude, Oliver Tree's music will remain. New listeners will continue discovering his songs. Old fans will revisit them. Videos will continue generating views. Performances will continue being shared. Moments that once made people laugh will continue finding new audiences. And perhaps that is the final lesson hidden within this story. The helicopters collided for only a few seconds. The tragedy itself lasted only moments. But the influence of a life can continue for decades. For millions of fans around the world, Oliver Tree was more than a musician. He was proof that being different could become a strength. Proof that creativity could thrive outside traditional rules. Proof that authenticity and absurdity could exist side by side. Whether remembered as an artist, a performer, a comedian, or an internet icon, his impact on modern digital culture is undeniable. And as the world continues searching for answers about what happened that day in Rio de Janeiro, one thing is certain. The story of Oliver Tree did not end with a helicopter crash. It lives on in every song, every video, every memory, and every person who was inspired by one of the internet generation's most unforgettable voices. Thank you for watching.